Welcome, traveler of the night. Tonight we step softly into a world that time has left behind. Close your eyes, let go of the anxieties of today, and let us journey back to an era of candlelit stone corridors, the rustle of heavy fabrics, and the quiet forces that shaped empires from the shadows. When we think of medieval times, we often imagine the brutal hardships outside the castle walls, the muddy streets, the grueling labor, and a world where an ordinary person could barely survive a single day. But even inside the grandest palaces, life was dictated by a strict, silent order. If you listen closely to the echoes of the past, you will hear footsteps. Not the heavy boots of kings who fought wars, or the slow steps of queens who wore the heavy crowns. Instead, you hear the soft, deliberate steps of the ladies-in-waiting. These were not mere servants. They were daughters of nobility, women of high birth, chosen for their grace, their intellect, and their absolute loyalty. In a dangerous world, they stood mere inches away from the crown, observing everything, speaking in whispers, and quietly shaping the rhythms of court life. Imagine the grand chambers of a Renaissance palace. Outside, the medieval world is chaotic and harsh. But inside these private quarters, the air is thick with the scent of dried lavender and beeswax. Here, a queen is not just a ruler. She is a human being needing protection. And it was her ladies-in-waiting who held her secrets, dried her tears, and offered counsel when the rest of the world was locked outside. Feel the warmth of the roaring hearth. Watch the shadows dance on the tapestries. We are here, silent observers of a forgotten power. As the first light of dawn pierces through the tall, arched, stained-glass windows, the medieval fortress begins to wake. Outside, the peasants are already cold and working the fields. But inside the castle, the heavy wooden doors to the queen's bedchamber remain closed to the world. Only a select few are permitted to enter this sanctuary. The senior lady-in-waiting enters first, her movements fluid and silent. Her dress sweeps gently against the polished wooden floor. It is her duty to awaken the queen, not with a loud call, but with a gentle parting of the heavy velvet bed curtains and a soft word. The morning ritual is a complex, choreographed dance. Every movement has a purpose, a necessity in an unforgiving era. Another lady brings a silver basin filled with warm water, scented with rose petals or orange blossoms. The water is poured gently, the sound a soft, rhythmic trickle in the quiet room. Then begins the dressing of the queen. In the courts of Europe, clothing was not just fashion, it was political armor. Layer upon layer of fine linen, heavy corsets, and structured gowns made of brocade and velvet embroidered with real gold thread. It required 3 or 4 ladies working in perfect harmony to prepare a queen for the day. As they laced the corsets and adjusted the heavy skirts, they talked. They spoke of the latest gossip from the court, the letters that arrived in the middle of the night, and the shifting alliances of the lords and barons. In these intimate morning hours, before the ministers could even whisper in the king's ear, the ladies-in-waiting were already advising the queen on her political strategy for the day. To survive even a single day in the treacherous environment of a medieval court required absolute caution. To be a lady-in-waiting was to be a vault of secrets. In a world where a single misplaced word could mean execution or treason, these women practiced the art of absolute discretion. One of their most critical responsibilities was managing the queen's correspondence. In the quiet hours of the afternoon, while sitting by the grand windows overlooking the palace gardens, a lady-in-waiting would hold the inkwell and quill. She would write as the queen dictated. These were not just letters to family, these were secret alliances, coded messages to foreign diplomats, and private reassurances to powerful allies. The ladies-in-waiting knew who the queen trusted, and more importantly, who she feared. They were also the gatekeepers of the realm. If a foreign ambassador or a wealthy lord wished to secure a private audience with the queen, they often had to charm or bribe a lady-in-waiting first. They knew exactly how to navigate the complex, often deadly social hierarchy. They were diplomats without titles, politicians without offices. As you listen to the rhythmic scratching of the quill on parchment, imagine the weight of those secrets. The ink drying slowly in the candlelight, the soft wax seal being pressed onto the folded paper. Every secret safe kept in the absolute silence of a loyal heart. As the sun begins to set, casting long golden shadows across the stone palace courtyard. The court prepares for the evening banquet. In the dark medieval nights, danger was always closer than it appeared, and this is where the ladies-in-waiting truly carried their weight. Tonight, their role is the art of presence. They must stand behind or beside the queen, a beautiful, dignified frame around the central figure of power. They must look flawless, embodying the wealth and sophistication of the kingdom, yet they must never outshine the queen herself. It was a delicate balance of elegance and humility. During the loud feasts, amidst the music of lutes and harps and the clinking of silver chalices, the ladies-in-waiting remained hyper-vigilant. They watched the eyes of the guests. They noticed who whispered to whom, who left the hall early, and who drank too much and spoke too freely in the shadows. When the banquet ended and the cold stone halls grew quiet once more, they would gather again in the queen's private chambers. There, in the comforting, warm glow of the dying embers, they would piece together the puzzle of the night. They were the true eyes and ears of the crown, protecting the throne from the unseen dangers of courtly intrigue, ensuring survival for another uncertain day.